We're gonna welcome Peter, forgive me, Vlahos?
Vlahos.
Vlahos, okay, got you, with PACA, the Pennsylvania Aggregates Concrete Association. Everybody's heard of PACA. Who has not heard of PACA? Oh, okay. Well, PACA, Pennsylvania Aggregate and Concrete Association. Peter is the president of that association and is going to talk with us today about the aggregate industry and PACA's role within that industry, and hopefully our role within that industry as well, and relate all of those topics together. So, Peter, without further ado, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining us and leading our conversation today.
Well, thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Mellott team, for inviting me to this conversation. Hope you guys enjoy your pizza. I'm going to wait until after this to have my lunch. Just background about myself. I've spent literally my entire career, and I am a proud boomer, getting close to retirement age in the not-for-profit trade association space. I've worked in DC and New York City and now in Harrisburg, PA. I had the pleasure of working for a number of industries, including the Parking Association, including the Pallet and Container Association. The more exciting one was the shopping center industry. And I've spent a lot of time on construction materials, and I'll get into that in more detail. One of the things that everybody should understand, there's an association for everything, and including for myself as an association professional, there's an association that represents us. So it's, tremendous opportunity out there if you're interested in that, in that field. I had the pleasure of taking a position back in 1989 with the National Aggregates Association and the National Ready Mixed Concrete Association. And I got the bug. And literally, I've been in the construction material side my entire career since 1989, with the exception of 2 years when I was exiled. And then they asked me to come back to the association. I've served in a variety of different roles. I've grown from, being an administrative person when I came out of college. I came out of college without any real, employment opportunities, because I decided to study political science, which really doesn't get you any place, other than if you're thinking about pursuing a legal career and going out to law school after that. So I started at the bottom. And I've learned the association business from that point. I've done marketing, promotion, education, trade shows, events, administrative responsibilities, and the path has been interesting. Before I came to PACA 17 years ago, and time certainly flies by, I used to be the co-managing director of CONEXPO-CON. I hope some of you have had the chance to go to Las Vegas for that event. It's held every 3 years. It is the largest construction event trade show in the world the year that's been held. And I tell you, that was an amazing opportunity. I was involved with the 1999 show, 2002, 2005, and then there was a decision from my board to leave the trade show responsibilities, and thus I've took the position with PACA. As I said, I've been very fortunate to have a great team of individuals, and I'll get that in more detail. So you got kind of background of how I got here. PACA is interesting. I think one of the reasons that I was given the opportunity 17 years ago to lead the organization is because I understood the various components of construction materials. PACA represents 3 unique markets: aggregates, ready-mixed concrete, and the cement industry in Pennsylvania. And so what we have seen over the since my time, I like to use the term, we have met the enemy and it's us, because back in the 80s into the 90s, most of the companies were a single silo. They were in the aggregates industry, the ready mix industry, the cement industry. What we have seen is the consolidation, okay, the so-called integrated companies, where effectively they do all of the above. As you can imagine, one area, one market that's not part of PACA is the asphalt pavement side, and yet 95% of any hot mix asphalt design is aggregates. But that's a different organization in Pennsylvania, and that's also a different organization nationally. So 3 industries, 1 association, a membership. We divide our membership into 2 parts. One is what we call an active member. Those are the producers, the folks that produce the aggregates, crushed stone, sand and gravel, ready-mix concrete, and cement. The other part of the equation, equally important, is what we call our business partners. You know, the bylaws state they're the associate members. I hate that label. They are truly a business partners because companies like Mellott are very engaged in the industry. They're and you folks are important in the operational, from a safety, from equipment and everything that goes with that. If we don't have companies, strong companies who are business partners, whether consulting firms, equipment manufacturers, crushing companies, et cetera, we wouldn't be able to function. So again, those are the two areas that come together under the association. Altogether, we got about 200 corporate entities. The trade association, it's the company that's the member versus the individual. So effectively, from a lot, they can choose to have one person participate, or they can have every single member of their team be involved in the association. That's a company decision. The other thing, and I am doing so well because I've moved on to my slide, staff resources. As I said, we have been successful because we have a great team of individuals. 17 years ago, I came in, we had a team of 5 individuals. Now we got a staff of 7. And in that time, we have upgraded the professional resources available to the members. You know, part of my spiel, my sales, when I talk to companies interested in membership, a lot of our companies may not have the opportunity of having somebody in the regulatory space, somebody who's, a professional engineer, safety and health experts. What I say to those companies, look to the PACA staff as an extension of your own staff. That's what the dues do. So from a staff perspective, in addition to myself, we have Callie Klein. Callie is the Director of Member Services. She's been with us for 29 years. I think she started when she was about 5. In addition to that, we have Jim Casilio, who's a professional engineer. Jim is of my generation. Jim was in a member company. He was a principal, Casilio Concrete, out of the Lehigh Valley. And at the end of that, phase of his life, his professional life, he was an active member with the association. I've asked him to be a member of our staff, and he has been an amazing addition, especially in the technical PennDOT space. In addition, we have Ken Crank. Ken has been about 1.5 years longer than myself. He is our certification person. PACA does ACI certification and National Ready Mix Concrete Association certification. And we are one of 3 entities that call sponsoring groups by ACI in Pennsylvania. Our state is big enough that there are literally 3 entities that do certification in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. In addition, we added Susan Armstrong. Susan she was on the board of directors. She got to a point in her career that she wanted to pursue something different. And she has joined us in the market engagement. And what that basically is, her responsibility is to go out to specifiers and designers, the people that, that writes the specs, and help them, understand all the changes that are going on. As basic as our industry can be, there's a lot of evolution in the specifications and the materials, and the science is constantly changing. So Susan's job is to talk to the specifiers and designers about those things. Also, we have the brand new member of our team. We lost our Director of Environmental Safety and Health, Josie Gasky. She retired back in April of this year, and we have added a new director, Megan Dennis. Megan has come from one of our business partner companies, a consulting firm. She has dropped the age of our staff by probably 20 years. She is with us for about 4 weeks now, and she's doing an amazing job, and she is fit very well already with us. And lastly, last year, we added an administrative assistant just to help with all the stuff that's going on. So that gives you an idea about the staff resources. Next item I wanted to talk to you about is a leadership and roadmap. Like I said, I've been in the association business my whole life. The cliche in our business, whether you're working for a national organization or a state organization or regional organization, is, anybody that wears my hats says, oh, we're member led. Honestly, in a lot of cases, it's the staff that kind of, drive the agenda, drive the direction, drive the spending. The reason why this organization, and please be mindful, when I came on board 17 years ago, again, 5 employees, different complexion of employees. As I mentioned, we have evolved to a more professional, group of, accomplished people. Our budget has gone from 1.3 million to 2.2 million. So we have seen almost $1 million increase in the last about 10 years or so. And that's significant. The reason for that is we have an engaged membership. These are the folks that lead this organization. They have the buy-in. We have a board of directors that is 29 people strong, 29 individuals. And the DNA of PACA since its founding 42 years ago is that the C-suites, the top management, whether it's the family, top management at local, regional, national, or some galactic organizations that operate in Pennsylvania, are sitting on the board of directors. So we got decision makers, and we have an executive board of 10. That's a subset of the 29 that I mentioned before that actively lead the organization. Myself, I serve. My job is to manage the organization, to fulfill the strategic plan, to keep us in the riverbanks. But it's the board and the members that lead the vision of the organization. And that partnership has really helped us grow the organization over the last 17 years. On top of that, we have very young board of directors. Again, I tend to be the old guy in the room at this point of my career. When I came on board 17 years ago, the perception, which used to drive me crazy, is this is the old boys club. That's not the case anymore. Our chairman right now is Jeff Detweiler. Jeff is a principal at New Enterprise Stone and Lime Company. He has a 2-year term, which concludes in November. And Jeff is mid-40s. My incoming chairman, who's going to take over after the annual meeting in November, is Jamie Stilley with PA Aggregates, a Western PA-based company. I think Jamie is early 40s. So as every 2 years, I have a new boss, if you want to use that term. As you know, I'm the one that engages with with the chair, the officers, the executive board, and so forth. And I'll be very honest and say this: when Jeff was coming up, I'm 63. Jeff is 45. I was thinking to myself, this will be an interesting generational thing. I'm not going to be able to keep up with this guy. Honestly, he has been outstanding. He has allowed me to learn new things. And I'm happy that this old dog got some new tricks because he keeps me alive. He keeps me interested. And, hopefully on top of all these important issues going on in our industry. A strategic plan is up there, a mission, vision. It's a 3-year strategic plan, concludes in 2025 of the 2025 annual meeting. Again, what we're focusing on is regulations and specifications. Not a surprise. Staff, from a staff perspective, succession planning. You're going to hear me talk about this. I've mentioned the fact that we have an older staff, and which is also literally a sign within our industry. A lot of our member companies are suffering from that brain drain that's taking place. We're faced with the same challenge. Advocacy and lobbying is a key tool for us to manage regulations and specifications. Business development, communications, and I'll talk about that more because we are sick and tired of being the quiet industry, and this is part of my PowerPoint. And then certification. Certification is important because we are teaching the people that are using our materials, handle our materials, and that is extremely important because the challenge that we have on the ready mix side is we do not place ready mix. That is the contractor side. And we need to make sure that we have folks on the contractor end that knows how to place, how to cure. It's part of the education that we provide to the folks that play with our materials. Any questions up to now? And I hope you will ask me questions because I'm too, I can go on and on and on. Next things are priorities. Again, regulatory advocacy, communications, and workforce development. Look, I'm sick and tired of listening to folks out there talking about our industry as a rogue industry, meaning, we decide one day we're just going to open up a quarry or put a concrete plant. That is just absolute foolishness and stupidity. And I'm being very strong because the perception is we're not regulated. If anything, we are over-regulated, not just by the state, but also by the feds. And I have a whole bunch of infographics that we have developed through our environmental community that talks about the many steps that we got to go through just to get a permit to open up a quarry. You will be lucky if you decide to open up a greenfield site, a brand new, space. You need about 350 acres. It's going to take you 5 to 10 years to go through the process from the local to the state. The permitting, you're going to spend probably about $1 million in fees, consulting, legal, etc., before a ton of rock goes out of your quarry. That's a heck of a commitment. And that is and that's the story that we keep talking about with the administration, whether it's the Wolf administration, the Shapiro administration in Harrisburg, and the General Assembly. Okay, regulatory advocacy go together. On the communication side, again, we have been told that we are the quiet industry. That came out of the mouth in front of the board of directors of PACA. He was the secretary of DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, and he kind of pat us on the head and said, "We like you because you don't make a lot of waves. You're the quiet guys." The time has ended for us to allow the other side. And I don't mean the other side as being a bad side, but the reality is our industry and the way our companies have functioned for a very long time is we're trying to hide. Okay. You know, it's if they don't see us, they're not going to make a fuss about us. Those days are long gone. Okay, there's something called drones. There's something called Google Earth. There's a whole bunch of tools out there that nobody can truly hide anymore. So I use the analogy of the prairie dog. If you've seen this, you know, it digs a hole. It's underground. On occasions, it pops its head out, takes a breath of fresh air, goes back into the hole, not to be seen again until maybe a day or two. That's how we have behaved. And communications wise, we need to get into a dialogue. We need to explain the value of our products because nobody understands it nowadays. They don't understand that you cannot build anything without the rock. And what you hear from the legislators and the governor's office is economic development. And yet, how do you achieve economic development if you like to build manufacturing? That means you have to build something. You need to have the rock. So we have hired a communications person, independent of us, and that's in addition to our staff. And you will see, for example, in the last 2.5 years, almost 3 years now, our position, our priorities have been very visible in all the social media channels, through press releases. We will not sit back and let the other side dictate the narrative about our industry. On the advocacy side, we have a lobbyist, again, a contract individual, Hank Butler, amazing. If you want to hear about the workings of Harrisburg, ideally we should be, you know, with a beer at a bar because he can be very honest with you. You know, he is out there lobbying on our behalf. And what I mean lobbying is not sending an email to your legislator, but literally walking the hallways of the General Assembly, knocking doors saying, we're opposed to this. This is a bad policy. And he's been with us for 12 years. And workforce development, I talked about it. There are two parts to workforce development, and we're not doing a very good job on the first part. The first part is, you know, organizing a campaign in partnership with the member companies across Pennsylvania, you know, to really talk about opportunities for careers in our industry. You folks, the university, Mellott should be the template of how you go out and, you know, build your business, explain the value of your business, and provide a great career for folks that are committed to the business. And so that's one area that we got to improve. The one area that we have done a better job with is how do we take somebody that's come through the doors and provide to them the training, the education, the leadership development, so they can see there's a career to stay in our industry. And that is an area that we've done much better. So those are the two parts in workforce development as I see it, and we got a lot of work ahead of us. What we're proud of, okay, I mentioned about the quad industry. It took me probably 10 years to get through a leadership, the notion that we have the right to stand up and speak our mind and defend our companies, our employees, and our products. And you'll start seeing that, excuse me, more so in the coming years. We're going through a significant redo evolution of the website. And actually, it's going to become much more a public site that we're going to be very direct on what we believe in, why we are important in the communities. Because again, our industry is a multi-generational industry. That's the beauty of Pennsylvania. This is what I love working for PACA. I have some peers from other states, and literally their board of directors is like 4 or 5 companies. You know, you can name the big 3, 4, 5 national companies, and that's it. Pennsylvania is different. We have mom and pops that have been there for 3 and 4 years. We got, statewide organizations. We have regional organizations. We have national organizations, and we have what are called galactic companies, such as Heidelberg Materials. Okay, Wholesome. These folks are in every corner of the world. So when I'm speaking to the board, I am addressing each of those components. Somebody who is at third and fourth generation, or somebody who's top management for a global company. And, and the needs are different and the wants are different, but you're always trying to find that common sense of what is the right thing to do for the industry. And I can tell you, we're moving away from being the quiet industry. We're not out there to be difficult, challenging. We just have to stand our ground and talk about our value. Political mojo. I use mojo on occasions when I get excited because I was told about 10 years ago that this association doesn't have any mojo. And I said, okay, I take that as a personal objective that we can change that. Pennsylvania, I think most of you understand the PAC, political action committees. Every state has, different laws relating to contributions to a PAC. Pennsylvania is one that if you want to make a contribution to the PAC, and PACA has the PACA PAC, easy enough. It's a personal check. Okay. If you go across into New Jersey laws are such that, you can make a contribution to a New Jersey PAC and it can be corporate money. So it's a lot easier ask, right? Versus me asking my members, my leaders to go into their pocket and cut a check. So what we have done, I think when I came on board 17 years ago, I think maybe we will raise about 12 to 15,000 over 2 years. Our legislative session is 2 years. And that was it. Whether we like it, and I don't like it, politics and money are interconnected, right? You need money to play. You have to follow the rules, you have to follow the laws. Nothing is inappropriate, but you got to raise money because that's how you're able to make a case with some key decision makers. In this 2023-2024 legislative session in Pennsylvania, the goal was we're going to raise over 2 years $250,000. Mind you, 17 years ago, we were raising about 15. Now we're asking 250,000. That's private money. That's your pocketbook. That's your checkbook. And I thought to myself, good luck with that. I would tell you as of today, we have raised $273,000. Okay, that allows us to be one of the top 15 trade organizations in Pennsylvania with a PAC and the might that goes with the dollars. And so now we got to translate our success in fundraising and making contributions to getting what we need and want, okay? Because that's the way the game has been played. The one area that truly I'm personally the most proud is PELA. What that stands for is PACA's Emerging Leaders Academy. It's basically a leadership development 10-month hybrid program. Literally, we kickstarted that in 2021. We have a group in the membership. We call it the Young Leaders. You have to be 40 and under to be part of that. You get kicked out once you turn 41. Imagine how I feel at my age about that. And during COVID, which was an interesting time to say the least, we sat down. COVID was wonderful if you're an introvert, or you don't have time to really contemplate what the future looks like because all the noise kind of stopped. Okay, you don't have to run to this meeting. We don't have to do, that meeting. All of a sudden you have time in your hands. And so a lot of strategic thinking really took place in 2020 amongst our members. And the young leaders, these folks under the age of 40, basically said, Peter, this day and a half that we do, and you bring some speakers and we do some public service project, that's wonderful, but we need more than that. You know how I talked about workforce development in the beginning of this presentation? We need to start developing some of the folks coming in to take a leadership path in their career. And so we sat down with them, and they came up with PELA, the Emerging Leaders Academy. And I took it to my membership, nothing with the staff. I love to sit there and say the staff came up with this. Took it to my leadership in 2020, and I said, this is coming out of our young leaders. What do you think about this? And all of us were like, can we really kickstart this in 2021? Who knows what 2021 is going to look like? We're going to be able to get out of, the cave. What are we going to be able to do? And Jeff Dagweiler was, one of the executive board members, said, no time to waste, proceed. And so we started with PELA, 10 months in 2021, and literally 50% of the meetings, we meet for 10 consecutive months starting in February and concludes with graduation at the annual meeting in November. And the first year, 50-50 split between in-person and online. And as we evolved PELA, we realized the in-person relationship building was key. And now out of the 10 months, 8 are in person, 2 online, and usually the 2 online tend to be in the summertime because sometimes it's difficult for folks to, come together with vacations and other industry obligations. So PELA is not limited to any specific age group. Different people get to certain positions at different times in their careers. So we had somebody as old as 58 years old. And we have some folks in 23, 24, and they've been fast-tracked within their own companies. And what I'm proudest of with PELA is where we thought this will be an ideal opportunity for the mom and pops, the companies that don't have, the depth of, skill sets, HR, training and universities and things like that. And we thought that would be, very supportive of them in providing this value and service to their younger employees. We got, participation from every single industry sector we represent, from the galactic companies down to the mom and pops. PELA is not easy to get to. This is not about money. This is not about send me a check and you're in. It's very much, like an academic institution. You have to apply. We have what we call trustees that review the applications. The maximum number of students per PELA class is 20. Okay. Usually we have to tell people that they're not ready yet. They need some more training or opportunities before they're allowed to accept it into PELA. And one of the graduation requirements is a capstone project. It's a project that they work together as a team, and they present at the annual meeting in front of all these, C-suite upper management folks. And up to now, pretty much most of the topics for the first 3 classes were in PELA 4 this year has been on workforce development. And, both parts of that equation, both the how do we attract folks into our industry and how do we keep and create career opportunities for folks once they come to the door. This year's class is working on mental health. And this is a decision that they make, each class makes that decision. They work cooperatively. They create videos. We support them. They have PowerPoints. They take the show on the road. They go and visit technical high schools. They invite legislators to come to quarries and talk about the industry and the value of our products. So it's very dynamic. Very proud of that. And something that really helps the industry during this significant transition. Collaboration, again, everything we do, we do it together. It's very easy when you got, multiple interests, different demographics. We represent Pennsylvania, and the Northeast is not the same as Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia is not like Erie. Again, I talked about the mom and pops, the regional companies, aggregates, ready-mix concrete, cement. There are so many things that can easily separate us and break us, but we choose not to. We choose to come together, collaborate for the sake of the industry and our member companies. Those are the things, again, that we're very proud of. Our challenges, public disconnect. They don't understand, why you need the rock. And it's easy to be an NIMBY, not in my backyard, but you still have roads. You still got a house. You still need to go to work. There's some bridges in Pennsylvania, given our topography. If we don't have the material, might as well then go back into caves. So again, it goes back to that communication, part of the responsibility we have to connect the dots for the public. Okay, we need to start earlier. That's the workforce development that starts in elementary school. Okay, we need to do a better job with that, but we got to start explaining, why our materials are important to civilization. Permitting, I talked about it already. Think about it. Economy, the ups and downs. There's an opportunity to, there's a market opportunity. IIJA, the bipartisan infrastructure bill was significant for the aggregates industry. If you could start a quarry, based on the market dynamics, the market conditions quickly, you can succeed. But how do you know if you have to wait for 5 years or 10 years, how do you know what the economy is going to do? So think about it. It makes it very difficult. And part of the permitting conversation we have is we don't choose where we have quarries. It's the expression we use in-house is it's the geology stupid. Okay, we follow the geology. It's simple as that. We don't want to be in your backyard, but if that's the geology, somebody is not going to, build a quarry, millions of dollars of investment if the quality of the rock is not there. And people don't really understand that. Workforce, I've talked that to death. It's a transition. Hopefully we're going to, get our footing and be able to bring, the new faces to continue the work that's been done in the past. Economy, economic cycle, the ups and downs. I came in December of 2007. Guess what happened in 2008 and 9 and 10? If you say Great Recession to me, I start shaking because I came at the point that, the bottom, the carpet was pulled from, our feet. And understand the way that this organization gets funded is based on the sales of the materials. If they don't sell something, there's no dues. Okay, so the Great Recession was very testing, and yet was an opportunity for us to use the term strategic thinking with COVID, but also the same thing with, during the Great Recession, to really understand where we want to go and where we need to be. As a part of that strategic thinking that took place during the Great Recession, we brought the professional staff, the environmental safety and health, the professional engineer, and other skill sets to support the members and their needs. I think the toughest part right now and is the political environment that we live in. We can't get anything done. I can tell you in Pennsylvania for the last 2 years, we have a Democrat as a governor. He made a decision. One of the big campaign was that he came up with the concept of the payback. If we don't get you a permit within the assigned time, we'll get you your money back. And I said to Mr. Shapiro at a meeting, getting $20,000 back is not what we're here for. We want our permits, whatever. Deaf ears and all that kind of good stuff. But, so he has the payback. That's going to drive economic development. Guess what? We're involved with the Pennsylvania DEP in something called the Aggregate Advisory Board. It's a DEP Environmental Protection Agency, an advisory board. And we created that by legislation about 7-8 years ago because we got sick and tired of the way our industry was treated by the regulators. And so we're sitting at the meeting about a month ago, and I said, how's it going with the payback? Have you guys refunded any money? And then the response was, oh, no, you don't understand. The non-coal, that's what we're described. We're non-coal, okay? The construction aggregates market, the industrial mineral market, doesn't really fall under the payback. My response is, excuse me? That's news to me. Oh, yeah. It's too complicated. We can't do that. The regulations don't allow us to do that. So we went directly to a deputy chief of staff for Governor Shapiro, and we said, hello, what is this all about? And that was 3 weeks ago, and you were supposed to research that. He didn't know about it. So we're waiting to hear whether the payback, and again, I don't want the $20,000. I want a permit, but just to show you the challenges that we face to get permits, in a time that an extractive industry or extractive industries are now viewed as friendly, sustainable, taking care of the natural resources. Those are the challenges. And partisanship fits into that because the last 2 years with a divided General Assembly in Pennsylvania, we couldn't advance much of anything. We couldn't pass anything. So what we played was constant defense. And that's not a lot of fun. So we'll see how the election goes. And one thing I want to say about the election, make the right decisions for yourselves and your families. That's what this is. It's a civic responsibility. But for the love of God, please register to vote. Okay. And who you vote, that's between you and the ballot that you're going to cast. So the future, our theme has been for close to 10 years, a decade, is building and connecting communities. And there's an inside story to that. At the face of it, our materials, aggregates, ready-mix concrete, cement, build and connect communities, right? Your schools, your homes, your businesses, you name it, the stadium, you watch the Eagles or the Steelers or what. Our materials are there, built and connects, right? Our infrastructure is built with our material. So that's the external. At the same time, built and connected communities. I mentioned about, the mosaic that's our membership in our industry across Pennsylvania, mom and pops, multi-generational galactic companies, East, Center, and West. These are different communities with unique needs. And what we're trying to do is, build them and bring them together so we can speak with one voice. And I don't know if you can see behind me, that's our marketing message, which is unity, voice, and community. That's what drives this organization. We have to be one community together, united with a strong voice. Otherwise, we will disappear. So with that, that's the end of it. I'll take any questions, and my apologies for taking so long.
Thank you so much, Peter. Phil, are you on site for some questions?
Kim, this is Jeff,
Hey, Jeff.
here at Mellott. Any questions here in our room for Peter? Questions about the industry, how Mellott relates to PACA? I think we had a few people and young leaders at some
Yes.
point, if not now. I know Brian
Last year.
Brian
Yes.
Mellott is, Peter, I'm sure you know, was involved. Rich Blake, I'm sure, is involved. So we've had some involvement in some really key ingredients to PACA, and we appreciate what you guys do for the industry and us.
And thank you. And I would say, as a sidebar, both Brian and Paul Mellott have been very important to me in my career. Brian was my first chairman when I came on board in 2027. He stepped down at the end of 2028. So he could easily torpedo my my tenure with PACA. It was a pleasure to work with Brian. Important, of course, with Paul. We crossed paths at the national level, even before there was a National Stone Sand and Gravel Association. Paul was National Stone, and I was National Aggregates Association. And again, a lot of our organizations, whether national or state, are merged over the years. So fantastic family. Great to see Justin involved and other members. And you folks are very fortunate to be with Mellott.
We are, thank you. Questions, comments? Anybody? Okay, anybody online there have a question or comment to Peter?
If you're online, you can use the chat for any questions you may have.
Well, Peter, you must have covered it really well. So we appreciate your time and all the information you provided, and we hope to meet you in person at some point.
I hope to see you because I want to emulate your university. You know that.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you for leading on workforce, even when people were, talking about this and saying, don't worry, we'll fix it. We'll take care of it. You guys, cutting edge. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for, working with our member companies. Thank you for making Pennsylvania a better place to live. And please stay in Pennsylvania. We need you to be here. Don't leave us because our demographics are not very good right now. So with that, thank you for your time, and please register to vote and go on vote in early November. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you,
Take care.
Peter.
Have a good weekend. Bye.